Do you eat, sleep, dream about anything related to eye care?
So do we. This is See What We See with Lauren and Martin. My name's Lauren Cashin.
And I'm Martin LeBeau. We want to share anything that's cool about eye care.
We want you to see what we see. So sit back and enjoy.
Hey, welcome everybody to the latest edition of See What We See with Lauren and Martin. And I'm here, as usual, with my buddy, Martin LeBeau. How are you, Martin?
I'm great. How about yourself, Lauren?
I'm doing great. How can we not be happy? It's 14 degrees out there today.
Well, I'll take this. Now, mind you, I would prefer being on a beach, with, a mocktail or something like that. But February in Canada, plus 14, I'll take it. But I'm guessing it's supposed to be freezing rain later on tonight and cold again tomorrow. So
So I hope you enjoyed summer. There's our Canadian summer. No spring, no fall. We've had summer and we're back into the doldrums of winter, middle of February. You and I, we get to perk up our day by speaking to people who are really interesting. And today's guest is going to be representative of the entrepreneurial spirit. We hear different stories about things, but this particular person, you had met her when you were down in Austin at a conference recently, and you came back and said, the energy that this person just exuded, and her story about seeing a need for something and then going for it, and from beginning to end. So this person's in the optical business. They saw a need for a certain type of styling in frames, not to be the same. And it's not only styling, it's fit. So before I go on and on, Martin, about this, I think I'm going to ask you to introduce our guest for today. And by the way, today's podcast is brought to you by the Optical Group. And as we all know, the Optical Group are great sponsors of the Ontario Optician Association and of opticianry right across Canada. So Martin, take it away.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce you today, Tracy Green, co-founder of Vontélle Eyewear. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Hi, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us today. Maybe you can start by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a Sagittarius. I love long walks on the beach, and I love pizza. And of course, I love eyewear.
No pineapple in the pizza, right?
No pineapples in the pizza.
Beautiful.
Just cheese and tomato sauce.
So Tracy, you're really accomplished with this business, Vontélle Eyewear, that you've created. And it's really unique. It's different. It's different than what we normally see. You're going after, a certain market. Frame should fit a certain way. You're going for, frames that'll fit Black people with, different sized bridges, things like that. And also, I read that you were just bored with what was out there with glasses, as an eyeglass wearer. So you and your partner, who I'd ask you to tell us a little about Nancey, you guys decided to start your own eyewear company and really get out there with it, have well-fitting frames with styles and colors that just weren't out there. So I'm not really asking a question here, am I? I'm going on. So I guess we'll start with, tell us why you decided to start this company with Nancey.
So Nancey and I go way, way back. Nancey Harris, my co-founder, we met in college, and we've been best friends for years. And, kids, marriages, divorces, everything. We're there for each other. And something as simple as me losing my glasses, who do you call first? You call your best friend. So I lost a pair of glasses, very expensive glasses, name brand, of course, luxury. And I went to an optical shop to replace them. And all the glasses just looked the same. So I called her to complain, mainly to say, not only did I lose my favorite pair of glasses that I liked, but I said, you know what, if I'm honest with myself, they really didn't fit well. I always had indentations on my nose, on the side. I had a line across my nose. And then after wearing them for a couple hours, they hurt. And being that I have a background in healthcare, worked at a hospital system for, over 15 years. I was a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, at a couple hospitals here in New York. I would talk to the doctors, and they said when the glasses rest on your lymph node behind your ears, it's putting pressure. So after a while, you get a headache. So that made me just realize that one, all the glasses look the same. Two, they don't even fit well for my face. And I was just upset. So I called Nancey to complain about it. And I said, I wish I had glasses with more color and more pattern. I said, we're African American. I don't see our culture on the glasses. I don't see more vibrant colors. And Nancey, being a serial entrepreneur, she's a writer. She wrote books. She had her own movie business at one point. She did like a short film kind of thing. She was like, we can do this. And I'm like, do what? And she said, we should just create our own eyewear business. And I laughed at her and didn't think anything about it. And then, Nancy's like, my mom has a permanent line across her nose. And then my son, who's like 6 feet, 6'3", he had to wear glasses and he couldn't wear contacts at the time because he was young. He was like 13, already like 6 feet tall. And he had to wear the goggles, but he would wear them all the time because they had a strap, which would keep the glasses on his head. So then I just started to put all of it together. And then Nancey booked a trip for us to go to Silma in Paris. And she said, take off for work. And I'm like, what? I just had a vacation. I can't take another vacation. She's like, you're the boss, just take off. And we go out to Paris for Fashion Week. And she had researched this whole expo. And we see like 4 football fields worth. And football in New York is football, not soccer. But 4 football fields of just eyewear, wall-to-wall eyewear. And we looked around and we were not represented. We didn't see any African Americans who owned, who manufactured, who designed. It was every other, male, very male dominated, Caucasian dominated. And it was our aha moment. Like, this is why glasses don't fit our faces. This is why our brothers, our fathers, our aunts and uncles have indentations on their cheeks, lines across their nose, because glasses are not made for their faces. And we just went in 100%. It was like, let's just try to do this.
Well, that's a cool start. You saw a problem, you saw a need, and you actually had the oomph, the guts to do it, to act on it. How many people would have had that problem and just let it go? But you acted upon it.
Well, let me tell you, Lauren, I had the pleasure to meet Tracy actually this past January at the Vision Council Executive Summit in Austin, Texas. And Tracy's got tons of energy. She was stylish, like there's no tomorrow. You should have seen the glasses she was wearing. They were awesome. Accomplished pianist. They asked her to go on stage just playing some piano, and everybody got surprised because she just started tuning it up and everybody was like, whoa, what's going on? So she's got the energy to do all this. But still, where do you get your inspiration to do all that? I mean, we understand you saw a need, but you still need to be thinking all this through all the time and create new product and new eyewear that's going to be interesting. Where do you get all that inspiration?
I think, we live in New York, and New York is a very diverse city. And I have to say, this week we actually were partnered up with a couple of designers. They use our eyewear for Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week. So we'll have some press coming out about that. But I think it's just so much diversity and just color and culture here. I mean, where I live, you have every ethnicity. On my block alone, we live right now at Prospect Park in Brooklyn. And, it's all townhouse, brownstones type living. But you have Indian, you have West Indian, you have Caribbean, you have Jewish, you have Polish, you have everything. So I get to see a lot, and I think that gives me inspiration. But then you see people all look different. We don't all have the same construct in our faces. We're not a monolith. We all look different no matter where you come from. So that was kind of like the inspiration to kind of design and say, we're not just designing for Black people, which is how we started, but now we're designing for anyone who has a diverse face. And then we just keep, we just started with our spring collection, which we use for Fashion Week. And we have these beautiful colors coming out in the spring that you would just be floored.
So let me ask you, because Martin, just as a follow-up kind of to Martin's question, you mentioned how you're inspired, but as somebody who's been selling frames for the last 50 years, myself as an optician, where does it all start? So do you see a piece of fabric that the pattern is just so cool, you could just see it in eyewear? Do you pick the frame first? How did you, like, I'm seeing you wearing some really cool frames these couple times I'm seeing you. And where did you start? Did you do you get a basic shape or something, and then you have your designer manufacturer work with it, and you just develop it? Like, I don't know where it would all start, like the shape.
So it started with the fabric because I think that was so there were 2 points that we wanted. Like I said, we wanted better fitting and we wanted color and vibrancy. So we started with the patterns, right? So like I said, living in the city, there's a million African shops all up and down Flatbush Avenue where I live, in Harlem, in Queens. So we just went to all these fabric shops and started picking up batik patterns, African patterns, Ankara prints, mud cloth, kente prints, just picking up all this beautiful material. And then we said, okay, now you have to get the real estate, right? You need eyewear. You can't do a wire frame because it'll be too small. You need glasses with real estate so you can put the patterns on the glasses. And, I didn't know AutoCAD, or my brother's an engineer, thank God. I didn't know AutoCAD. I didn't know how to really put like Illustrator, Adobe, or any of that stuff. I just hand drew what I wanted. And I took the fabric and said, can you put this on this? Here's a shape. This is what I want it to look like. It has to fit wider here. We started measuring noses. Every friend we had, we were like, let me measure your nose. Let me measure your head. We have these little protractor things, as you guys all know, in eyewear. So we started measuring everyone and finding the shape and pattern, and then putting it together and then saying, this is how the sizes need to be to fit our faces. And then, we got to work with someone who's a great graphic designer. She's on our team and she put it all together. And before you know it, we're emailing it to our manufacturer and say, can you do this? And believe me, at the beginning, it wasn't perfect. We had like 3 manufacturers that we were working with, just to see who can do it. And the patterns came out dull, they didn't look right. It took a long time to get it right. It took us a year almost of just research and development. We started in 2019 and we didn't launch our website until October 2020. So it took us a while to get it. But when we found the manufacturer who got what we were trying to do, he said, I think I know what you want to do. I can help you out. And he's been amazing ever since.
So by going to the show internationally, you get to meet all of these people. But when they want to show you a product, do you travel over there? Do they come to see you? Did you just put in the post and then you get it at home 3 weeks later? How does that go forward? How does that work? Because I'm presuming that takes a lot of time.
It took a lot of time, but Nancey and I are crazy. So we launched in the pandemic. So October 2020, don't forget the pandemic started March 2020. We did all our samples. We were supposed to travel overseas, but then the country shut down, the world shut down. And so we started doing everything over WhatsApp. I tell you, technology is amazing. Our manufacturer would send us the images via email, and then over WhatsApp, we would look at it in live, form, like how we're doing this Zoom. And then he would send us the drawings. He would send us the samples in the mail. We would say, take that out, tweak this is not right. So it did take a long time, but we wanted it to be right because we wanted you to feel like the pattern was like a real pattern. We wanted it to be beautiful, glossy, crisp. We didn't want it to look dull or bad. And we got a beautiful product out of it. And because we're so crazy, which we not knowing, we jumped into the deep end with this. Nancey and I had probably when we first started, but probably about 50 designs. We started with 37 SKUs. First opening, being a brand new eyewear, not knowing anything, we started with 37 SKUs. And that's because we were just crazy. One, we wanted to make sure that we hit everyone in the market. So not all the glasses have pattern on them because we know some people, it'll be too new. People might not like it. So like these glasses that I had on earlier, just a nice olive color with like a wood frame. So we did a combination of woods because wood is very cultural as well. And then we decided to name all the glasses out of Africa, Africa inspired names. So like these are the Cairo olive. We had the Kente blue, or we had the Ankara aviator. So these are different patterns, or Akasha aviator, which is like a tree in Africa. So we started to name them pharaoh zebra, right? So we have a zebra print, but a pharaoh is, prominent African god. So we basically try to marry our culture with what we were producing. And I think it was just a hit. It was amazing.
Well, it's too bad our listeners can't see your frames right now that you're wearing, because you switched a couple ones so far and they look fantastic. But I will definitely, what we'll do is we'll add your website address with the podcast, and so people can visit your website. But if you're listening right now, it's Vontélle.com. So VONTELLE.com. You'll see amazing stuff on there. Big, bold, and beautiful, right?
That's it. That's what we wanted to do. And from going to Silmo, you're in this place and everyone had beautiful French and Italian names. So I said to Nancey, my middle name is French. Don't know why my mom named me that, but I found out later on my aunt was in the military and she met this beautiful woman named Vontélle, and she was like in the Marines at the time. So Black women in the military, in the Marines years ago, very rare. And she met this woman and she was like a sergeant and did great things. And she told my mother to give me that middle name. So we used Vontélle as the company name.
So you design your own frames and under your name in that. But I noticed that you have a partnership with Nickelodeon. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and what characters are you involved with there?
That is an amazing partnership. And again, we were lucky. I think as crazy as we were to start out with so many frames, it showed that we were different. And Nickelodeon found us. So they said, we saw your glasses. They have intricate patterns. They're beautiful. We're looking for a Black-owned brand to collaborate with. And we want patterns because we want someone to kind of adapt the children's characters in a more funky, fashion-forward format. And I think you guys can do it. And of course, we said yes. Didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were like, yeah, we could do it. Let's sign the paper. And so we have a 3-year licensing deal with them. We're the first Black woman-owned eyewear company to have this type of arrangement, right? Because they have not done anything with Black women-owned companies. And we launched in 2022 with SpongeBob, Baby Shark, and Rugrats, the Chucky. So it's like a square Chucky, and it has like the purple and has a Saturn on them, like the pattern that he wears on his clothes. Baby Shark has the sharks on them, and they come in Mama Shark, Daddy Shark, and Baby Shark colors. And SpongeBob is my most favorite ones, and those are kind of like the best sellers. They actually have like the sponge pattern on them, and the temple is his socks. So you'll see the white, and it's really cute. And the bottom half is like his pants. So we did like a half, and we did a full. And they love them. So it looks like the characters. The kids love them. So you have to wear glasses, but if you're wearing glasses and you're a kid and they're SpongeBob, your favorite, character, it's like you don't even think about it.
Cool. Very cool.
Great opportunity.
I mean, the only thing is I don't want to hear the Baby Shark song again, though, anytime
Oh,
soon.
no, please. I'll never get out of my head.
Me neither.
So we're on the same page on that one. So, I mean, you have a great product. You have a great partnership with Nickelodeon. What's next for you and Vontélle?
So Vontélle is basically, like you said, we still can't believe how much has happened in a short time. And again, just seeing a need and getting that great feedback. We listen to our customers. They're asking for even bigger glasses. We have a new petite group who's saying, well, can you make glasses for very, very petite people? You make them for bigger people, but can you do petite people as well? So now we're listening to the feedback, and we want to be able to do that in a year or two, focus not just on larger faces, but also smaller faces. We have this year, we're working on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Paw Patrol with Nickelodeon. They have movies coming out.
Paw Patrol. Hey,
yeah.
I watch it every weekend when my granddaughter stays here.
Well, she's gonna win some glasses. She's gonna win some glasses. So yeah, she'll love them. And we do sunglasses and optical. All our glasses are prescriptive. So even if you buy the sunglasses, if you want to put a prescription in them, you can. We did a nice bendable TPE type for the sunglasses, so that if the kids can, hang out on the beach and whatever, and they won't really break. So we just filmed a show on with the Kelly Clarkson show. So that's going to be great. It's going to air soon. So hopefully around the time this airs, that would air. We are just looking for more distribution and collaborations. We've been in talks with, big chains like Costco's and, other, vision companies to see how can we add value to what they don't have. And again, our value added is not just the colors, but it's the fit, right? You have a huge amount of African Americans, Hispanic, Indian, Japanese. They just have different shaped faces, Asian, and it's really hard to find glasses that fit. And not everybody can wear contacts. So we're trying to just make sure that what we put forth is really fitting those people. Everyone in the middle is covered. We think that everyone in the middle is fine. It's just capturing those people on the other ends, very petite or very large. So Vontélle has already did a spring collection, and we're starting now on the fall collection.
So with all these great products, I just, when I was surfing around, shadowing you here. So bestproducts.com just gave you an award of one of the best 15 Black mom brands. So people are noticing you out there. So congratulations on that one.
Thank you. Yes, getting the notice is amazing. It's like I said, you have an idea to make something from nothing. That's amazing. So you have an idea, you act on it, because everybody has great ideas. Everybody. But like you said, you act on it. And I think what made us act on it was the fact that we didn't see ourselves represented. Right? We go to this huge summit and no one looks like us. So we were like, if not us, who? Right? Somebody has to jump in and just do it. And then what we wanted was just not there. I mean, we have no eyewear with cultural patterns on them. So that was kind of our jumping off, and the fact that people are noticing it, I'm so excited. I'm so proud, and to be here with you guys. That's amazing.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. Please excuse my ignorance because I'm going to show it now because you're talking about fabric and patterns. What's mud cloth?
So mud cloth is a beautiful African pattern that's used. It's the way they basically tie-dyed the mud and the rock, and they put it in a cloth and a pattern, and that's how they made our clothes. In Africa, like that's how they dyed it and did stuff. So I actually have some patterns around here. This one is a kente pattern. And to be fun, because we launched in a pandemic, we made masks to match the eyewear.
Cool.
So that was a great selling point. Very good selling point. I'm gonna see if I can find you some mud cloth.
That's really cool. That's to really incorporate, not just come up with some crazy patterns, but they actually mean something. They have a background. They have an origin story behind even patterns.
Yes. So this is a mud cloth, and this is adapted on a material, but the original mud cloth is very rough because it's taking cloth and they use the mud to, basically soak it in the sun. It's a whole process if you go to Africa. And a lot of the fabrics, the batiks and all are made that way. And that's how they take a plain white cotton sheet material and put the colors and the dyes in it. And it's cultural. In a lot of different tribes, they wear it. And it's just, for us, it's beautiful. And we had this on a couple pair of glasses. And like I said, we made masks to match because it was a pandemic when we launched. So we call the phrase #full face fashion. So your glasses matched your.
Clever, so clever. Wow. I mean, it's impressive. Honestly, you're a young entrepreneur. You're doing everything else, and you still have time to give back to your community. I see as well that you work with an organization called WIN, Women in Need. Can you tell us a little bit about that organization and what you do with them?
Definitely. So, like I said, I worked in healthcare for over 15 years. So, working in the hospital settings in New York, you get to hear all these great stories, but you get to hear all these horrible stories. And people, victims of domestic violence, or you have a fire in your home, or just anything that somebody dies and then you can't afford your bills, right? Your partner dies, or so, just crazy stories. And you get moved into these shelters. And New York City is a cramped place. So the shelters are not always the best. And the first thing we always used to get requests for at the hospital was for dentures, because people lose their teeth, and eyewear, because they lose their glasses and they can't see. And even though glasses are fashionable and we love eyewear, it's a medical necessity. right? I cannot see without my glasses. So I can't imagine you having this catastrophe happen to you and then you can't see. So we partnered up with WIN, which has Women in Need, and has over 13 shelters in New York City. And they call us, and we reached out to all our optometry friends who we now have and say, hey, you have glasses to donate. You have, anybody wants to do free eye exams for these people. And we have a couple great optometrists in the area who do the eye exams for free. And we have glasses donated. And Nancey and I applied for a grant with the Steve Harvey and Marjorie Harvey Foundation. And they gave us a grant to pay for the prescriptions. So basically, it's soup to nuts. And these patients who have these horrible things happen to them, they can call and we get glasses and we get them an eye appointment. We get them free glasses. We get their prescription. And, they can move on with their life. They can get jobs. They can get a new apartment. They can, the kids can go to school because the kids lose the glasses. So it's been a great partnership. And I think to date, we've been in operation for about 3 years. We've done over 4 shelters, and these shelters are big. Some of the shelters have over 1,500 to 2,000 residents in one shelter. So we've hit about 3 shelters. We try to do 1 a year. And then if they call us as for intermittently for people who just need, we just work with those people individually. We've done over maybe 250 free eye exams and given away glasses. So it's amazing. It's just something that I was like, we can't do this without giving back. And eyewear is a medical necessity. And, when you're homeless, you don't want to have to worry about you can't see to get to your next level.
Yeah, that's wonderful because giving back is part of it. And too many companies just take, and it all just rises to the top and they just don't give back, right? They just don't take care. People forget that blue collar workers is the foundation of capitalism, and we live in capitalistic countries.
That's
so
it.
You got to give back. And I think that's wonderful. It's a real testament that a company as young as yours has, you didn't wait till you're on top and the money's flowing like crazy, but you decided to give back right away. So kudos to you. I see you have a special on this month with Black History Month. So this should be, I guess, in the years to come, and maybe even now, what a perfect month for you to promote your frames and the whole shtick behind your concept.
Yeah, Black History Month is one of our best selling months. And like I said, that's where we get the most attention as well. I think we got Forbes last year, Black History Month, one of the top Black owned brands. I think we were like number 7. It was like, we were so excited. We couldn't eat for the rest of the day when we got Forbes. We got a couple other magazines, Essence, Black Enterprise. But again, now more people are seeing, and it's not just for Black people. We got an email the other day from this guy who was Polish, and he said, I'm Polish and I have a big head and these glasses fit. He was so happy. So it was just amazing to hear from other people. We met this woman. She said she had a nose job, white Caucasian woman, because the way her face was structured, the glasses just didn't fit. And she said, if your glasses would have came out before, I probably would never got a nose job. But just to hear these stories from people that, they wear the glasses all day and they're painful, they hurt. And people have lines on their nose and they just accept it. It's like, I just thought that was something we were supposed to accept. And I'm like, we should not accept permanent lines on our nose from our glasses. So it's just something that I don't think it's facetious. I think it's just that historically, African Americans and Hispanics are just not included in clinical trials, right? So you create something. Do you get everybody? Do you test every type of face, or do you test every type of person? No. I think the people who make it, they think about their own people and then they just keep going. And then if no one complains about it, and again, you need the money, you need the access. Lucky for me and Nancey, we both had careers beforehand. We bootstrapped the company with our own funds. We had the money, we had the access, and we knew how to do research and call people. So if you don't have that, you just kind of deal with what you already have. I think about all the guys who were like my husband and his cousins back in the days before the Big and Tall store, all their clothes were just too small.
Yeah.
Right. Until somebody created the Big and Tall store. If you were a 6'5", 6'6" guy, you had to wear your pants hanging down.
Oh, is that where it all started? Is that where?
Yes. Everybody was 5 feet.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, steroids in the food, cows are bigger, all this stuff happens, and all the kids grow up to be Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
There was no big and tall store until somebody said, listen, there's people who are bigger. We have to, right? But if you didn't have it, you just wear what you have. So I
Wow.
feel Vontélle is bringing that added, that added value. And while glasses have been created from the beginning of time, I always think of Bombas, one of my favorite companies. People have been wearing socks forever. They created some special sock. I don't know what they put in it, but all of a sudden it's the best sock, right? And they made it better. So we're just trying to make glasses better for our people. So, it's still glasses, but it's better. It fits better. It's comfortable. You love it. It's color. It's fun.
Well, you saw the need and you're addressing it. So speaking of color and fun and everything like that, where do you see this going with styles? Traditionally in our industry, what I've observed is we swing from plastic frames for a few years, and we swing into metal frames, then we swing into huge frames. The 80s were frames the size of what you're doing today or even larger, So with a company that's so innovative like yours, I know that every year someone, what do they call that? Would they bring out a color for the year?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So where do you see everything going? Are you just going to continue on just doing your own thing and hope people still catch on with colors and patterns and that? And because obviously from conception to getting it on someone's face takes a lot of time. So there is a risk when you do put together a style. So where do you see this going? How are you going to keep on top of things?
So I think two things. Like I always love fashion. I think I was just telling a friend yesterday that when I was a kid, I would take cutouts in Vogue magazine and 17, all those magazines that came out back in the days when they had actually paper magazines. There's no more paper now. And I would watch the trends and, really love fashion. So I got into finance because my mother said, you need to go into finance. But I always love fashion. And I think you watched what's happening in the world in fashion. I love those runway shows, and you see what colors are popping, like you said, what designs are coming out. I think today, because the young people are just so different, anything kind of goes. I think the more big, they love big, they love bold, they love, I think I just saw yesterday, some new boots came out, and they're just so red, and they look like Papa Smurf boots, but these are the new thing. And you're going to see every kid buying them. They're going to cost like the Yeezys. These sneakers they were the ugliest thing to me, but it was huge. It was just basically the bigger, the more statement you can make. The kids today want to be a statement piece. Everybody wants to be on TikTok. Everybody wants to be on Instagram. So I think for us, it's as long as we keep bringing in new patterns and, adding it with the colors, changing up the designs, I think we'll be fine, because I think that everybody wants to look different and everybody wants to be able to look like a superstar. And as long as the glasses look flashy and it makes you feel beautiful or bold, it's going to sell.
Well, as you mentioned earlier about the diversity in the New York City area, you could probably just pull up a chair and sit on a street corner and watch the show go by, and that'll just get your imagination going. Yeah.
Take a New York subway. That's all you have to do.
That's true.
You see everything on the subway.
Yes.
Everything. Singers, everything. Dancers, people dressed, from prostitutes to lawyers and doctors. You see everything on the subway.
Cool.
Well, speaking of New York, I can't wait to see you at Vision Expo East, because I've seen a few of your models on your website that I want to try on and see how it would suit me. I just can't wait to see it. And I welcome to all our listeners that if you're going to be at Vision Expo East in New York, go to Vontelle's booth, go meet Tracy. You'll fall in love with her and her energy and her product. I guarantee it. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing with us your passion, your energy. You're wonderful. I can't wait to do this again with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Me and Martin became very close at Austin because we had a similar issue with our health, and we just bonded. He made me feel so good. So your energy is amazing, because Martin basically kind of said, hey, look at me, I still look fabulous and I'm handling my business. And I fell in love with him after that. It's good to meet people, and, you never know what people have going on with them. And, I have diabetes and I got it late in life. And so I feel like this company is also my second act. I needed a change. I needed to change my lifestyle. Being a CFO at a hospital in New York, which they're always broke and we never have enough money to pay the bills, it's very stressful and it's not really good for your health. And when I started the eyewear business, I didn't know I was changing, but I was actually doing better for my health. And this journey for the eyewear business has been amazing, but it's also been amazing for my health. I can work from home. You can see my basement office behind me. And I can take care of myself, eat better, work out, and not have the same stresses. So sometimes, I tell your listeners out there, if you have a great idea and, just act on it, you never know that you're changing your life and it might be better for your health. It might just be, amazing for you.
That's wonderful. It's great to hear a success story. You're a young company. Seems like you're well on your way to just the sky's the limit. And I have to thank Martin for introducing me to you, because again, even through Zoom, I feel your energy, the same as when we spoke the other day. So I want to thank you also for coming on, and I hope to meet you in person at some point. So again, all the best and all the best of success going forward on this crazy journey you're on. It's wonderful.
Thank you for having me. You guys are the best. You guys love eyewear just like we do. So it's amazing just to have a talk about eyewear. It's crazy.
Sure is.
Thank you so much, Tracy. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Well, Lauren, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Tracy as much as I did. You can feel the enthusiasm. You can feel the energy when you talk to her, and it just pumps me up.
Well, no, it's funny you say that, because when you came back from the Austin, where you went to that convention, and you told me you had met this wonderful lady who has a great story to tell about how she got into the optical business, not through family, not through anything, but through a need she saw. And you talked about her energy. So I have to agree with you. She's great. We had a conversation with her prior to doing a podcast, and I was sold. And I think today it was great to hear her story, her origin story, and to hear, it's unique, and her product is unique.
It is very unique. You can see that her and her partner, Nancey, put so much passion into what they developed. And it's not just one aspect, it's multiple aspects that they developed. And they didn't recreate the wheel. They just took that wheel and made it better for a target audience. And now it's starting to spill over because it's such a unique product. It's such an interesting product. And again, their story is so interesting that people are following. I know it's not readily available in Canada yet, their eyewear, but you're starting to see a few stores picking it up, and I can't wait to see more and more of it down here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think today everybody's looking to be unique in their own way, and status quo out the window. So kudos to Tracy and Nancey for what they came up with. I'd love to wear something like that, and maybe when I get to see the line, I can update my fashion a little bit here. Instead of wearing minimalistic, maybe I can go into something a little chunkier, a little more color, and knock a few years off the look here.
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to try some on myself when I'm going to be visiting Vision Expo East. Thanks again to Tracy Green from Vontélle Eyewear. Visit our website, vontélle.com. Thank you as well to the Optical Group for sponsoring this podcast. A great supporter of the OOA. Lauren, always great to have a podcast with you, and meeting interesting people and discussing with them. Until next time, my friend.
All the best. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to See What We See. This podcast is brought to you by the Ontario Opticians Association. For more information or to become a member, go to our website at www.ontario-opticians.com. For all the latest updates, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Ontario Opticians Association, on Twitter, OOA_Frontline, and on LinkedIn, Ontario-Opticians-Association. Don't miss an episode of See What We See and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite streaming service. Thank you from the Ontario Opticians Association, the voice of opticians for 75 years.